Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my first impressions look on the 361 degrees Big 3 6.0. So if you guys didn't know, the Big 3 5.0 Quick Pro as well as the Big 3 5.0 were one of my favorite hoop shoes of last year. These were amazing, but these were the Quick, right? And of course, these are just the Big 3 6.0, so I'm not 100% sure if they're going to be coming out with the Big 3 6.0 Quick or not, because there was no regular Big 3 5.0, there's just a Big 3 5.0 Pro, I believe, right? Same thing with the Big 3 4.0 as well, there was just a Quick, of course, but I haven't really tried their older shoes either, so either way, the Big 3 6.0 retails for $130, which I think is a pretty good price, especially for the tech that you're getting. So if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave in the free link in the description box. If you do choose to get this shoe, it does help me out if you buy it through the free link in the description box. And I'm sorry for my voice, I am a little bit sick, or I'm recovering from being sick, so my voice is a little bit raspy. But anyways, let's get it started right off with the Traction. So in this colorway, we have this really bright orange color. And we have a mix of herringbone, like kind of on the outside, and also like this circular pattern that starts where the ball of your foot is and it kind of circles out on itself, right? So as far as the traction goes, how does it feel? So on my wood floors, it feels pretty dang good. However, it does seem to be picking up a little bit of dust, right? So when I first got it, I put it on and I was like, yo, this bite seems really good, and I was really happy about it, of course. However, I started to walk around in it a little bit and started to pick up a little bit of dust, a little bit of dog hair that's on my apartment floors, and the bite just didn't seem as good. And also, I was walking around in it with the Big 3 5.0 Quick and the Quick Pro, and these both have amazing tractions, top tier tractions, of course, but also seem to be picking up a little bit less dust. So we'll have to see on dust performance, but just on my wood floors when I first got it, the bite seemed really good and seems to be picking up a little bit of dust, right? Also for durability, however, the durability seems way better than the regular 5.0, right? Because the grooves are way thicker, deeper, and the rubber is just way harder. If you look at the actual, the 5.0 Quick Pro and the regular Quick, the grooves are way thinner, right? So you have these kind of like triangles, and the rubber is softer as well. So I guess that is an upgrade for durability, but we'll have to see on the dust performance. But the overall traction is feeling pretty dang good so far. And also there is a pretty nice loud high pitched squeak, which of course has nothing to do with performance, but if you like to have a squeak, this shoe definitely has you covered right now. Now moving on to the heel to toe transition, overall it does feel pretty dang smooth, right? So here in the heel, we do have a nice curved and rounded shape, and also fully exposed midsole, right? So it's a combination of quick CQ Tech foam as well as quick foam light, which we'll get into, but it is actually pretty dang soft. You have a good amount of compression here in the heel, so it is soft here in the heel, right? And then coming here to the forefoot, we do have a nice curved shape as well, and a lot of forefoot flex. It's not super easy to flex, but it definitely is able to flex here in the forefoot. And also, we have a nice kind of like springy feel, which does feel great as well. And we do have a drive plate, right? So they are saying it's a fork shaped plate and it's made of nylon. And because of that, of course, the torsional support seems really, really good. So yeah, overall heel to toe transition feels pretty springy here in the forefoot, and also overall extremely smooth, which I do like. And now moving on to the cushioning setup, which I really like about the shoe, especially for the price, right? So they are using, like I said, quick CQ Tech foam, and it is right underneath your foot, right? So you can see the quick CQ Tech right over here, and especially here in the heel, it is on top, right? And then in the middle of that, we do have that drive plate, which is just this yellow plate right over here. And then underneath that, we have the quick foam light, right? So the quick foam light is a little bit stiffer, which I think is a good combination, right? So first of all, shoes that have a really soft foam, especially if it has really good core feel, which means the foam is thinner. If it's soft and you're doing like a hard landing and you're giving like a really hard impact, your foot can bottom out the foam pretty easily, and then your foot can hit the floor pretty easily, right? So I think this is a pretty good setup, because you do have a really soft foam in the quick CQ Tech foam, which is right underneath your foot. You got the plate, and then you have the quick foam light, of course, which is on the bottom, which is a stiffer foam, but it'll of course help to dampen the impact, of course, and not let your foot hit the floor, right? So yeah, it feels really nice. So as far as the overall core feel goes, it feels a little bit worse than the regular Quick 5.0 Quick and the regular 5.0 Quick Pro, right? Feels a little bit higher up off the ground, just a tiny bit, but it does have better cushion than the regular Quick, right? So the regular 5.0 Quick had just had NRGX foam, I believe it was, and it was still pretty nice, but the underfoot cushion was kind of stiff, you know what I mean? But here in the 6.0, the Quick CQ Tech foam is right underneath your foot. So first of all, you have a good amount of compression here in the heel. It feels pretty dang nice. It also has a nice little bounce, it feels like, right? Also for the insole, we have a regular ortholite insole, which is kind of nice, you know what I mean? It does have a little bit of softness to it, but it's not super thick or super plush. It helps a little bit for the step and comfort, but underneath that, it's not a super soft mesh struggle board, but it's like a textile material, right? And then also pressing with my fingers is actually quite soft. So the step and comfort and underfoot cushion definitely feels a lot better than the 5.0 Quick. So it does feel pretty plush. Of course, it's not as soft or as plush as like the Team Joker or like the Joker 1 GT or even the Joker 1. However, it's still kind of nice, right? And it also has like a more responsive and kind of like stiffer feel if you like that, right? And then also here in the forefoot, it feels nice and soft. You know, your forefoot right before your toes, it seems to, like, for me at least, there is kind of like a part where it kind of comes up, you know what I mean? Kind of feels like a pod that comes up a little bit, bulges up, and it makes me feel the Quick CQ Tech foam a little bit easier in the forefoot, and it's still pretty plush in the forefoot as well, which I do like. So yeah, the overall court feel I would say is pretty good. Not as good as a 5.0 Quick, but still pretty good. Nice heel compression, step in comfort, and underfoot cushion feels nice, and it has a nice little bounce as well. So the cushioning setup feels really nice, and I really like it, right? So there's that. Moving on to the upper, so we do have a like a woven material, and they're saying it's an upper that's knitted from a woven technique that's called Jiaozhong, and they use the same technique in the 5.0 as well. But to me, it just looks like a screen mesh, like a plastic screen mesh. Pretty much, it's extremely thin. It's pretty much see-through, and you can see the underlying material, right? It's this white color, and you can see the underlying material here in the midfoot, right? If you open up the tongue a little bit. And yeah, it's obviously glued, but it's still extremely thin. It does feel a little bit flimsy, just a tiny bit, but it feels really minimal. It conforms to my foot somewhat well, but there is a little bit of pinching, right? And there is another material that's glued onto this kind of like lateral piece, right? And because of that, of course, that'll add for additional lateral support here in the forefoot, but it does make it a little bit stiffer, right? And when I do kind of walk, this part kind of digs into the top of my pinky toe just a tiny bit. It's not painful, but it's a little bit uncomfortable. I'm sure that'll break in, right? But overall, it does feel supportive too, so it feels nice here in the toe box. And also here in the midfoot, it seems like they glued it down a tiny bit more and feels a good amount stiffer, right? And better for structural rigidity compared to the toe box, of course. Also for the tongue, we have a very open mesh, and also there's not a crazy amount of padding. It's actually pretty minimal feeling. It's also a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. But yeah, there's a lot of airflow and ventilation through the tongue as well as the toe box area, and also in the midfoot. You know what I mean? There's a good amount of airflow, which is great. It's also made for summer, you know what I mean? They're saying it's a great material for summer. And then here in the ankle area, we do have a very nice kind of like material for the lining, but the padding, there's very minimal padding, which kind of sucks. You know, I kind of like a good amount of padding here in the ankle area, which makes it feel cozy, but it does have a very minimal feel. And then here in the back of the shoe, we do have this kind of like plastic material. It's like an external heel counter, and it's pretty stiff and rigid, right? So overall, it feels really nice on foot. It has a really nice minimal feel, and also kind of soft. I'm sure it'll break in and get softer, but it is very minimal and supportive feeling, which I do like, right? So there's that. Moving on to the fit. So I went true to size, and the shoe fits me really well. So lengthwise, I'm good going true to size. So I would suggest going true to size if you want a nice snug fit lengthwise. Also here in the toe box, it's not super snug. I would say it's kind of snug. I can curl my toes up still, but it's not super roomy to the point where I hate it, but I wish it was a little bit more snug, right? But of course, once I play in it, I feel like it'll break in and get a little bit roomier, and hopefully it doesn't get too roomy, but right now it's feeling okay. And then as far as the width goes, it is slightly narrow. Especially with this material, I definitely feel like it's really stiff. So because of that, I can definitely feel this material squeezing the side of my pinky toe, and it definitely feels a little uncomfortable right now. I'm sure it'll break in, like I said, but if you don't like that at all, probably go up half a size. But if you like a nice snug fit with the width and also for the length, then you should be fine going true to size, right? So there is a fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown, I mean, it feels really good for lateral containment. Like I said, here in the forefoot, they have this like this knitted material. Actually, it's more like a textile material, and it adds a good amount of support and rigidness here in the forefoot on the lateral side, of course. So yeah, that feels really good for lateral containment. And also here in the midfoot, we do have the 361 logo as well as this quick balance structure, right? So it's basically just this plastic piece It's like this V shape, and it kind of reminds me of a boomerang almost. But yeah, it starts here in the forefoot, cages the foam, and it comes here into the midfoot, acting as a lateral counter. And then here in the heel, of course, we do have that external heel counter. So yeah, lateral containment feels extremely good. And also we do have, it's not a crazy outrigger, but it does protrude out here in the forefoot a good amount. So yeah, lateral stability feels good as well, right? As you guys can see. And also not really experiencing any type of heel slippage. Overall lockdown feels good. So yeah, support and lockdown feels really good. And it's a really supportive feeling shoe while still feeling really minimal, right? And also moving on to the weight, this shoe feels extremely lightweight as well. Right, let's check the exact weight. It comes in at 11.3 ounces, which is extremely lightweight. Let's check the other shoe. 11.25 ounces, right? So the average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So yeah, I feel like shoes this year are extremely freaking lightweight. You know what I mean? I don't think there's any shoes that's like 12.5 ounces or even like the 12 ounce range. I feel like most of the shoes are in like the 11 ounce range, which I think is really, really nice. So this feels really nice. You know what I mean? It feels like a really responsive shoe so far. You know what I mean? With good cushion, comfortable cushion, but it feels minimal for the upper, but also feels really supportive for the upper, and also it has like good torsion support. You know what I mean? It's not like super nimble. First of all, like I guess comparing it to this, right? The Luka 77, it has like a really soft and nimble and flexible feel underfoot, like the entire sole of the shoe, but this one feels a little bit more rigid, a little bit stiffer. I'm actually curious, how much did this weigh? 11.6 ounces for the regular 5.0 Quick. And then the 5.0 Quick Pro is 10.7 ounces, which is really, really light. So yeah, there also is a Pro version of the 6.0, right? This shoe, there's going to be a Pro version coming out. And the overall, like, it looks like an entirely new shoe. You know what I mean? Like the different cushioning setup, different upper, you know what I mean? Which I'm very, very excited about. But yeah, this shoe is feeling really nice so far, right? Just a little bit worried about the dust performance. And then moving on to the aesthetics, I feel like it looks pretty good. You know what I mean? Like 361 is killing it with their designs. Not a huge fan of this orange colorway, but there are some other colorways coming out, especially the Pro version. I really like the Be Water, you know, the Bruce Lee colorway. That looks really good. So anyway, tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yeah, I'm liking it a lot so far. It definitely feels like a little bit more of an upgrade in the cushioning department, right? If you want a little bit more of like a stiffer, more responsive, and lower to the ground feel, than the 5.0 Quick. Like the regular 5.0 Quick is going to be the better option. But if you want a little bit more cushion, then this will be the better option. The upper definitely feels very, very similar. It's just there's a little bit of pinching here in the 6.0. The 5.0, I didn't really have any pinching even when I first got it. But also the traction, again, we'll have to see on the traction. But if it is top tier like the 5.0 Quick, then I'm really going to like the 6.0. And my first impressions of the shoe is feeling pretty dang nice so far. So anyways, that about concludes this video. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave in the link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.